Britain's Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab is resigning.
This follows an independent investigation finding he allegedly bullied some of his colleagues. He's accused of undermining and humiliating co-workers during his previous stints in office. Raab's departure comes at a time when the UK is looking for an economic rebound as it continues to struggle with high levels of inflation.
John Quelch is the former dean of the Miami Herbert Business School at the University of Miami, and he joins us now. So, John, Dominic Raab's resignation comes as the British economy is actually showing some signs of improvement. What's driving this bounce back, and what impact is his resignation expected to have on the British economy?
I think the answer to your latter question is zero. There is an endless supply of Conservative members of Parliament who are interested in moving up. Dominic Raab has had his day. I don't think the Prime Minister is that disappointed to see him go. And he now has, as his Deputy Prime Minister, a man named Oliver Dowden, who's an extremely strong and close supporter of Rishi Sunak. As far as the UK economy is concerned, there are some green shoots. The PMI, which is a purchasing managers index, showed a surprisingly strong performance in the most recent monthly publication of that index. But the key problem in the UK remains stubbornly high inflation. It's considerably higher than in the US. And especially in the areas of food and energy and housing, it's been extremely stubborn. And so the UK economy still has a lot of inflation left to take care of. And there's no doubt the Bank of England will have to further raise interest rates to try to get it under control.
Well, you mentioned that inflation is still high. So, John, how does the UK's efforts to combat inflation differ from what's being done here in the US?
Yeah, so the problem in the UK is partly a function of Brexit, because there is a considerable shortage of workers in the UK, even more so than in the US. We know the labor market is strong in the US with only 3.5% unemployment. It's also very strong in the UK as well. And the reason for that is that Brexit has prevented many continental Europeans from coming into the UK to have short-term work assignments, particularly in the hospitality sector and elsewhere. And so that has kept the labor shortage extremely acute in the UK. At the same time, teachers, nurses, and many other public sector employees are not seeing wages rise commensurate with inflation in food and energy and housing. And as a result of that, there have been and continue to be a considerable number of strike actions in the United Kingdom. So if you like, the pathology of inflation in the UK has an extra couple of dimensions to it that we don't have challenging us in the US. But the UK certainly, the Bank of England certainly needs to do more against inflation. And at the same time, the US, of course, will probably increase by 25 basis points at the next meeting just to keep inflation on track to further diminish.
John, I also want to ask you about a topic that's generated a lot of discussion here in the U.S., cryptocurrency. So European Parliament has approved the world's first ever comprehensive package of rules aimed at regulating the cryptocurrency industry as a whole. What does that legislation entail? How does it work?
So I think that the European Union deserves a lot of credit here for getting ahead of the curve on this vis-a-vis the U.S. And they have also done the same with respect to digitally focused companies as well. The reason is, I think, that in the European Union, there's a very substantial commitment to consumer protection. And that's something that is very widely held across the EU. This particular set of regulations, I haven't studied it in detail yet, but I think the focus is on sustaining innovation in crypto while at the same time protecting consumers. And so by putting forward a strong and detailed set of regulations, the EU is kind of ahead of the US because the US has been primarily disciplining the crypto sector through enforcement actions from the SEC. There isn't really a standard set of regulations that are crypto specific that the US Congress has promulgated. So credit to the EU for getting ahead of the curve on this one, and maybe the US Congress can learn something from reviewing what the EU has promulgated.
All right, John Quelch, thank you so much for your perspective. We appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.